angle measure. After watching this video, I will be able to identify and use congruent angles and the bisector of an angle. In geometry, there are specific symbols and words to say that something is equal or the same as. So the special word that we always say in geometry is called congruent or congruence. And we can have congruent segments or congruent angles. So here we have congruent angles. Congruent angles would be anything that is the same measurement. So here we have angle DEF, and the diagram is telling me that this angle is 65 degrees. Without having to write that the other angle, ABC, is 65 degrees, the little symbol of one line or one little arc on the angle tells me that this angle is also 65 degrees. Now, when we have multiple angles within a same diagram, it could be very confusing if we just have one arc to represent congruent angles. So in this other image, there are two little arcs because this is telling me that angle EBC is congruent to angle BED with another two little marks. So these two in blue are congruent to each other, but they are not congruent to the arcs in red. So I can use these little symbols to say that two measurements or two angles are the same. This is the same idea from line segments. If I were to have a line segment and said this was 10 inches, and then I would have another line segment, then I can use the symbol of one little dash to say that this line segment is congruent to that. So if I ask you what is the distance or the measurement of the line in red, I could just say it's 10 inches because the line segments are the same. Now we have this idea of angle bisector. And an angle bisector basically just cuts an angle in half. And when you cut something in half, you have the same on both sides. If you cut a pizza in half, then you have two equal parts. So my angle bisector would have a ray that divides an angle into two congruent angles. And again, congruent means the same. So here I have if YW, so that is a ray, YW is my ray, is the angle bisector of the entire angle XYZ. So here's my angle in green, and my line in red is the angle bisector. Point W is in the interior of the angle XYZ, and then the two little angles formed are congruent to each other, meaning they are the same degree measurements. So one of them is 80 degrees, the other is also 80 degrees. So here I want to use algebra to figure out the angle measures, but I'm also going to use the information I learned about angle bisectors to find out and set up an equation. So first, I'm basically going to use my picture to organize all the words, all the information that is given to me. So it's telling me that KJ and KM are opposite rays, which just basically means it forms a line. So here I have one straight line. KN bisects, so KN, here is my ray, bisects JKL. So JKL is my angle in red. I know because of the definition of angle bisector already that these two have to be equal to each other or have to be the same amount. Then it tells me that JKM, so JKN is here, is the same as 8x minus 13. And then I have the measurements of NKL on the other side is 6x plus 11. And then eventually I just want to find the measurements of JKN. So I can find the measurement of JKN if I knew what the value of x is. So the very first step to solving this is finding the value of x. In order to do that, I'm going to use these two expressions, 6x plus 11 and 8x minus 13. Because these two angles have to be the same, they have to equal each other, I can say that 6x plus 11 equals 8x minus 13. And now I'm going to revert back to Algebra 1 and solve for x. So I'm going to move my 6x over to the other side. So I'm going to get 11 equals, and then I'm going to actually do that subtraction. So I get 2x minus 13. Now I'm going to add 13 to both sides. So 13 minus negative 13 plus 13 is 0. And then 11 plus 13 is 24. And now 2x, to get 2 by itself, I need to divide. So I have x equals 12. Now that I have x equals 12, I need to plug back in because the answer is to find the angle measure, and all we did was find x. But now I know that x, the angle measure, is represented by 8x plus 13. So 8x is now 12 minus 13. So we'll get 96 minus 13, and my answer will be 83. Because we're talking about angles, my answer will be 83 degrees. So even though I have x equals 12, that is not the final answer. I need to answer the question. Now you should try and do the same idea on your own. So please write this problem down, pause the video, and then after you come up with an answer, press play to see if you got it correct. So the final answer to this problem should be 114 degrees. Remember that you need to solve for y, find the value of y, and then actually answer the question, which is the angle measurement of JKL. The problem told me that JKL can be represented by 9y plus 15. So y now is replaced with the number 11 because I know that y equals 11. If you have any questions because you didn't understand how to get this answer or you didn't get the same thing, then you would make a note of this and ask this question when we're meeting for class.